Hello everybody, I'm Neil. Welcome back to the Cruisin' for a Boozin' channel. This time we're going to do a video about a 5-day trip that we took that is the land portion of a cruise tour. So you get to see what a cruise tour is like on the land portion. We did not do the cruise portion, so we thought we would share just the land portion of the trip, and you'd get to see some of Princess's lodges and what you would be expecting if you were taking a cruise tour. So welcome aboard. Let's go see what fun we can get into. Once arriving in the Fairbanks Airport, make your way down to the baggage claim area, and you'll find a hospitality desk there that's manned 24 hours a day, where they have a welcome packet for you that gives you all the information to proceed on your cruise tour. You'll then be directed to board your transfer, which is a very short ride to the Fairbanks Princess Hotel. Once you're checked in, there's a brochure that tells you about the grounds. And our room, we happen to have a nice room with a view of the river, the Chena River, which is where the Princess Hotel is. Being the barflies we headed outside to enjoy a cocktail out on the deck. It was a beautiful evening, and wow, the bartender made a quite full drink. We wandered around the grounds to get a feel for things and found that there was these vegetable gardens, which were extremely nice. They used the vegetables in the restaurants at the hotel, which was quite interesting. That's the deck where we had our beverage for the evening. And as the evening progressed on, we decided to have a nightcap before bed. And this is at 10:30 at night. This is the land of the midnight sun, and it truly is. The next morning, we woke up to a beautiful day to explore. We decided to grab the Fairbanks shuttle, which was $10 round trip, to see what was in the city. We boarded the bus. They have mosquitoes there, so there's a mosquito zapper. But we headed down to the Fairbanks Museum, spent about 45 minutes to an hour wandering around there. Some very interesting things to see there. We decided to take a walk into town, had to get a selfie under the moose antlers, of course. And we passed by this nice fountain before wandering around the town, then headed back, caught the shuttle back to the Outlook deck to settle in for the evening. The first official day, we headed out on the bus to the paddle wheeler down the Chena River. We stopped at Fish Camp while we were on the paddle wheeler, and we saw some caribou and learned about the Athabascans, which are the natives in Alaska, and learned some very interesting things while there. Then it was all aboard. That was the whistle for us to get back all aboard, which we did. Everyone scurried back to the paddle wheel boat, and away we went down the river for the final portion of the cruise. Once we disembarked back at the pier, it was then lunchtime, and it was served in a dining hall. Lunch was very good. And then it dumps you into the gift shop. They have this Alaska 40 Below, so you can see what it's like. And then we're back on the bus, and we're heading to Denali. Along the way, we had a stop. We visited a little gift shop along the way, restroom stop and gift shop. And then we arrived into the Denali Lodge. Once we got checked in there, we were treated to a grounds tour by the manager as part of our trip. That's not a normal part of the trip. But we were set along the river again. We wandered the grounds with the manager as he gave us a tour of the village. There was shopping areas in the village. There's food. We stopped by Fanny Q's Saloon. We went inside, beautiful place to have some beverages and food later. We also stopped by some fire pits that were outside. You could sit around those in the evening. There's a pizza place. There's the main lodge that we will visit later. And then, of course, we had to head back to King Salmon for dinner. There's the Grizzly Burger and King Salmon are side by side. Again, the view from our room. The next morning, we hit the Green Bus Tour. The Green Bus Tour took us to Denali Park on a 5 or 6 hour bus ride tour through Denali. This is primarily a ride through the park that gives you the beautiful views of the grounds. It's very peaceful. Only the green buses, after you go so far into the park, are allowed further into the park. And we went on this tour. You see a lot of foliage and mountain views. We are on the lookout for wildlife. And then we had our first view of Denali. Quite a few rivers and streams that we crossed over. Of course, a few selfies along the way. And then we spotted the state bird for Alaska. And then there was this black raven nesting under the bridge. We also spotted some bighorn sheep, those little white speckles up on the mountainside. And then we headed back to the Visitors Lodge. Once back at the Visitors Lodge, we hiked back. It was about a 2.5-mile hike back to Denali from the Visitors Lodge, which was quite easy. Then there's these rafters that get in these full wetsuits and go rafting. Of course, another selfie before heading back to the lodge. And then we had to finish up the evening with a nightcap, of course. The next day brought the train ride to the McKinley Lodge. So here we're boarding the train. This is our car, the Hunter car. And then, of course, they had the Holland group. We're all on the same train, but we have our own cars. All dome cars for the 5.5-hour train ride to McKinley Lodge. We did have lunch on board. The food was very good. And as we traveled along, you were assigned an individual to give you narration, a guide, if you will, through the train ride. She gives you highlights. She was very knowledgeable, a local for many years. And you can ask questions throughout the train ride, and she'd be happy to answer those for you and point things out as well. You will see backcountry along this train ride that you will not see if you are traveling in a vehicle. So the views are absolutely spectacular. We were treated to a beautiful sunny day and got to see all kinds of sights because of the weather. And then Denali came into view. This one started out with a little cloud cover on the top. But as we progressed along, the view got better and better and better. And the train guide told us that we were in the 1 to 3 percentile of people that get to see such a clear view of Denali. And it was absolutely a spectacular opportunity for us. As you can see, the beauty of the mountain and countryside pictures, I can tell you, absolutely don't do it justice. You must see this in person. As we traveled along further, we crossed many creeks, rivers, streams, beautiful sights coming down, some emerald colors through some of these rivers were absolutely spectacular. The dome car is just as great as can be. You can get up, walk around. They have restrooms on board, of course, and snacks if you want to. But the views were absolutely spectacular. Highly recommend this train ride portion of the cruise tour. More streams, bridges that we crossed as we are approaching the McKinley stop. Now, you don't get actually right to McKinley. You stop in Talkeetna. Now, Talkeetna is a small little, I call it almost hippie-ish type town. It's cute, it's quaint. You can have some bites to eat. You walk to the end of Main Street and you're treated to this view along the river. As we headed back to the bus, past some shops, we found this little place as we're walking by playing some live music. You could sit out there, get a bite, and listen to some tunes if you wanted to. We didn't have the time. We were on a kind of a strict timeline, unfortunately. But after we passed back by the village park, past another little restaurant, boarded back the bus for an hour bus ride to the lodge from Talkeetna. Once we arrived into the McKinley Princess Lodge, we got checked in, dropped our bags, and headed back to the main lodge. Again, we were treated to a grounds tour of the manager with the manager, and then we eventually wound up for dinner at the North Fork restaurant. There is a beautiful view of Denali as we're sitting there eating our dinner. And there's Denali dessert. Then after that, we headed up to the tree house at the lodge. And once you get up to the tree house, it's quite a little hike up there. But the views, again, were absolutely spectacular. We had weather that was kind of unheard of, with wide open views of the mountain and the ranges from the tree house. The next morning, clouds came in, all gone. You can't see anything. It was raining, and that happens. In that welcome packet you received in Fairbanks Airport, there's tags for each leg or section of the trip. You put the assigned tags on your bags, and your bags outside your room are then picked up by luggage handlers that move your luggage along during the trip. Once we arrived into Anchorage at the Captain Hook Hotel, you check your bags at this desk to wait for your transfers to the airport. While we were there, they had the Miss Teen contest, made it very crowded at the hotel. But we did have some time, so we strolled around Anchorage, went to the visitor center. We grabbed a little city tour that took us by these float planes, and of course had to get a selfie. Then off to the Anchorage airport for the flight home. That's the end of the tour. I hope you had a good time. We did. Cruising for a boozin', we're shaking